Hello, dear students, good morning. Myself Topa Kaur, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, SS College, Hailakandi. I think I don't need my introduction as we have our earlier classes in HS first year. Welcoming you all in your HS second year classes, let us start our discussion. Here, in your HS second year classes, the syllabus of economics has been divided into two parts, that is part A and part B. Part A deals with microeconomics and part B deals with macroeconomics. Here, I am going to take up some units from part B of your syllabus, that is macroeconomics. Before going for further discussion, one must have a proper knowledge regarding the meaning or definition of microeconomics and macroeconomics. That is, what actually microeconomics and macroeconomics is all about. It is well known to you that microeconomics and macroeconomics are the two branches or two approaches of economics. Microeconomics deals with the study of the actions of individuals or small groups of individuals. For example, study of particular farms, particular households, individual prices, wages, income, etc. Microeconomic theory is also called price theory because it is primarily concerned with the prices of products and factors. However, macroeconomics is that branch of economics which studies the economy in its totality or as a whole. It is the study of broad economic aggregates such as national income, aggregate employment, general price level, aggregate consumption, etc. So, with this basic introduction of microeconomics and macroeconomics, let me move on to your study of macroeconomic analysis. In macroeconomic analysis, let me first start discussion on determination of income and employment. This is your unit 7 of part B in your syllabus. In this unit, you will find the different theories propounded by classical economists as well as modern economists particularly by J.M. Keynes, that is John Maynard Keynes. To begin with, let us first see the basic features of classical theories and Keynesian theories. If you will go through the classical theories, you will find that classical economists always believed in the existence of full employment. That is, according to classical economists, full employment is the normal situation in an economy, and underemployment, if it ever comes to exist, then it should be considered as an abnormal situation in an economy. However, according to Keynes, underemployment is the normal situation in an economy and full employment should be considered as an abnormal situation in an economy. Moreover, according to classical economists, capitalist economy works automatically through laissez-faire system. That is, there should be no government intervention in the different economic activities of production, consumption and distribution. The only function of the government is to maintain law, order and defense. However, according to Keynes, the economic system should run with government intervention. That is, government must interfere in the different activities of production, consumption and distribution. The first classical theory which we are going to discuss today is Say's law of market. This law has been advocated by a French economist J.B. Say, that is Jean Baptiste Say, in the year 1803 and in a book entitled Treatise on Political Economy or Treated Economic Politic. That is, J.B. Say advocated or propounded his Say's law of markets in a book entitled Treatise on Political Economy, which was published in the year 1803. Hope I am clear to all of you. Now, the question comes, what was the statement of Say's law of markets, or what actually J.B. Say stated in his Law of Markets? J.B. Say stated his Law of Markets in simple words, that is, supply creates its own demand, or according to Say, general overproduction and hence general unemployment are logical impossibilities. He disbelieved the idea that overproduction and unemployment were common occurrences. In the words of Say, it is production which creates markets for goods. For example, whenever any new productive process is initiated in an economy, a certain output results from it, and simultaneously incomes are generated in the hands of the people, and whenever the community spends the whole income on consumption and nothing is saved, supply becomes equal to demand. Under competitive conditions and zero saving situation, if the whole income is spent on consumption, supply will always be equal to demand and there will be no overproduction, oversupply or glut in the market. Now, if J.B. Say is saying in his law of markets that supply creates its own demand and there can be no overproduction or glut in an economy, then a question arises where this Say's law of market is made applicable. Say's law of market is quite applicable to a barter economy. And you know well that barter economy is an economy where goods are exchanged for some other goods. Under a barter system, a producer produces commodity partly for his own consumption and partly for exchanging his surplus goods for some other goods which he requires but does not produce himself. Naturally, he will produce that level of output which he can consume and exchange, neither more nor less. If this be the case, supply will be just equal to demand and there will be no overproduction or oversupply in the market. Thus, we can see that Say's law of market can be made applicable to a barter economy. Similarly, classical economists apply Say's law of market to monetary economies. According to them, money serves only as a medium of exchange. Now, when a producer sells his products, obviously he gets his income in terms of money. Now, he will spend this money to buy other goods and services. The value of demand so created will be equal to the value of the goods supplied. Say's law of markets, as we are discussing, was put by Pigou in a different form. According to him, there cannot be any general unemployment in the labor market if the laborers are just prepared to accept a lower wage rate when situation so demands, or at any rate a wage rate equal to marginal productivity. Pigou therefore held the view that temporary unemployment could be corrected and full employment restored through a flexible wage rate or a reduced wage rate. Pigou therefore suggests a wage cut policy to solve the problem of temporary unemployment in the economy. With this, let me end up my today's class here. The next part of the theory will be discussed in your next class. Till then, bye. Thank you.